good. Good couple of weeks. Obviously, it's tough when you don't have everybody, but every team's in that situation, and just trying to build some type of momentum and get everyone on the same page, work on some things we need to be a little bit better at, which we did and feel good about it. But um, we'll see how everything comes in. It's tough to go into a game 4 days after coming from all over the world. Um, so we'll see what our legs are like and go from there.
Shinobi's had quite the start to her career so far. She's got more chances for it than just about anybody else that's played a similar amount of minutes to her so far this season. What do you think of her start to her career?
Yeah, good. I think we still have to ease her in. I mean, it's still an adjustment. A good footballer. I think she's still getting adjusted to the speed of play and the physicality of the league. But on the ball, she's tremendous. And, we don't want her to feel like she has to do so much. She tends to put a lot of effort in, and her numbers are quite high. And we want to make sure that we balance that out so that she can stay somewhat fresh throughout the game rather than exert so much energy early. But yeah, I thought she had a good performance against Portland. Between her, Riley, Sully, and we have the flexibility to get some rotation going. Obviously, just because it the way the grind of the league, we've never really had that. So, and then once Danny gets back and so on like that. So yeah, we feel good about where Shinomi's at. It's just going to be a little bit more time for the final pieces to come together.
Sean, when you get an international break this early in the season, how are you able to use that as far as like, okay, we had a 3 game sample. This is what we thought our team was. Now we have time to step back early on and kind of reassess or fix some early issues that you might see.
Yeah, it's not a matter of. I mean, it doesn't change our mind in terms of who we thought our team was or is. It's just the way we play. It takes time to get into a rhythm. If you look at the last couple of years, we didn't start the season off well. I think last year we won the first game, and then we didn't win again for like several weeks. I think we ended up like 1-4 or something like that. And then the year before, we went on like a 7 game losing skid or non-winning skid. And it's just the nature of the beast. And there's a choice. You can jump ship, or you just stay true to it and understand that with patience it'll all come together. And I think during the break, you just keep you stay as positive as you possibly can. And obviously the team's pressing for 3 points, but that doesn't. You can have the best performance in the world, doesn't mean you're going to get one, right? So that's why there's 2 teams playing, and just got to learn not to lose sleep over it and get back to the grind. It's not that we've played poorly. We've created more goal scoring chances than we probably have in any game last year. But you need to score, and we could be 3-0 right now, or we could be 0-3. We have a draw and two ties. Sorry, 2 ties and a loss. Like, it's really not that bad of a situation.
Sure. What's there's a decent amount of new faces, obviously a lot of returners too. But what's kind of the character or like the personality of this team that you're seeing so far?
Then they're still trying to figure themselves out. 3 games in, there's a lot of new faces. There's some. You have your typical veterans from KK and Sully and Mary and Ryan and Danny and Case. But I mean, I've said it several times. Like, we have 5 20 or younger year old players, and that's a lot. We're the second youngest team in the league, and most of them are foreigners who are living in a new place and on their own. And so, like, we are quite young, and I think people lose sight of that. It's not like the group of 2017, 18, 19 where we kept the whole team together for 3 years. It just doesn't happen in this league anymore. And I think the personality of the group, I think they're waiting to find out. It's a tough one because I think it's so hard to fit because they're pressing, and we just want them to be themselves. So it's a unique one because it's I think in time it'll all start to settle in. But they work hard. They've stuck to the DNA of the club and what we do, and hopefully at some point soon their efforts will be rewarded.
Do you anticipate having like one person that does a lot of the scoring, or do you see it being more of like a committee?
I just want someone to score. You look at the teams that have separated themselves in the league; they have that, right? We don't think we don't have that. we're just waiting for that one moment for the doors to open, right? We've put ourselves in good situations. You look at Hannah against Portland. Abazi makes a block on it. It's a toe poke, the one that Shinomi plays, and Jay gets a little touch. Obviously, the PK, but I am not one to say this is our goal scorer because that's just added pressure. I think they're all pressing. I think Hannah's pressing. I think Ash is pressing. I think Jay is pressing. I think they're all pressing because they just want it to happen. But it's the hardest thing to do in the sport, right? And it's funny because everyone says, "Oh, well, soccer's a low-scoring game and football's a high-scoring game." Well, football's not really a high-scoring game. When it's 14-7, it's really 2-1. And they just made the game, the numbers a little bit different. For us, when it's 1-0, it's like the world's coming to an end. The sport's terrible. I think for us, we just have to stay true to ourselves and let that moment happen. And then from there, I think all the stress happens. I think the biggest problem that happened right now is when we give up a goal or we miss a big chance, the questioning of in their own mind saying, who's going to score? But I'd probably say since 2017 through 19, it's been by committee. We haven't had the Lins and the Jesses and the Hammies of the world, and who scored between the three of them probably 30 goals a season. We don't have that here. So, but we trust the group, and it's just going to take one. Yeah.
Last one for me, just keys to facing Gotham.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see who's available. Obviously, they have some players still coming back, but Juan Carlos will have them ready. They're organized. They have a whole new group of players too. They're a little bit different than maybe what they were in years past with not having Lynn and Rose is has been building back up and Midge is building back up, but they'll be organized. They'll try and play, and I think it doesn't matter who you play on a weekend. They're going to be ready. They're going to get your best game, and we just need to put on another good performance, and hopefully it goes our way this time. But they'll be threatening. Astera's very good. She'll drop into good little spaces. She'll be dangerous. And Ella's done really well since she's gone to Gotham. Their goalkeeping is fantastic. So, Tierna is a big loss for them. But they have veterans that can step in and fill that role. So, yeah, we'll see. It's so hard to predict because teams play against us differently sometimes.
I have one follow-up about the U21 players. 5 different U21 players you see the field. The team has had more second-most minutes by a group of U20 players in this league. What is it about this environment that makes it a place that not only those players want to come, but can come and grow and be contributors?
One, I think it's a trust. I think, if you look at Manaka, you look at Aline, you look at Jay, and you look at Shinomi, and Ash is young too. It's like they're players of young age that they're footballers, so they want to be in a situation where they have to do that. If they have to come into an environment where it's just chase, they won't thrive. So I think it's just the standards that we set that match the way they want to play. You have to have players that want to fit, and for some, they come in and they don't thrive right away, and it takes a while to get adjusted. Jay's only been here a couple of months, and people have the expectations that she should be doing wonders. It's going to take the kid time, and everyone just needs to sit back and relax and let it happen. And I think the difference is the pressures people put on others that aren't in our environment just because of the names that the players are. I think the one thing about our players, they're mature beyond their years, and it allows them to they're coachable. They're pushed and challenged every single day, but they're in a football environment, and that's what they want. But we also have a staff that comes from a youth development background that knows what it takes to develop players. And I'm not saying other coaches don't do that. I'm just speaking solely on ours. But that's a situation when you have young players, you know how to cope with that. But yeah, we're fortunate. But now it's finding the balance between those young players and veterans, and how does that mix? Because it is a massive maturity gap. Like you have players that have been in the league that know what it takes, that emotionally they can handle it. And I think sometimes the younger players struggle with the emotions of it because they are so young. They don't want to let anyone down. But they're not letting us down. They let us down if they're letting themselves down. That's when we get disappointed because they can control that. So, but yeah, it's day to day, day-to-day environment.